Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to new session. In the earlier video, we have discussed NCERT questions and solutions. Kindly note down all the questions and answers in your regular notebook. Today, I am going to discuss few extra questions with you. Extra questions is sometimes we refer as practice questions, or you also call extra question. So I am going to discuss extra questions and solutions as well. And you have to write those questions and answers in your regular notebook. So please listen carefully. PDF format or document format of this question answers, if possible, I will provide you. If possible, I will definitely provide. But again, I am telling if possible. Alright? So let's discuss the first question here. What are the transactions involving money? Transactions. And this is a kind of a practical question. So, what are the transactions involving money? First, goods are being bought and sold with the use of money. Commodities, goods, we people buy and sell, right? And we use money as medium of exchange. So, in transactions, money involves. Next, services are being exchanged with money. We buy services, right? Like service of a doctor. Of course, we pay. We pay using money. So that is also involving money. The third one is goods are also bought with promise to pay money later. Credit. That is also money. Involving money or not? Because when we purchase goods, we promise it. Many cases of credit we have seen, and we promise to pay in future. So how do we pay? How will we pay? We will pay in form of money. That's all. Similar, fourth one. Money is sometimes paid as advance with promise of delivery of goods later. This is also kind of credit. Right, so here we have seen that we involve money in various transactions. Alright, next question. What is barter system and mention double coincidence of wants? Or question can be, what is the barter system? Explain the double coincidence of wants. One more type of question, the same, different format. What is barter system of money? What is barter system and what is double coincidence of wants? So one type of question, as earlier many a times I said, that can be in different form. So here it is. Alright. Now how to explain it? I insist to write your answers point-wise. Many times said before, even in the 9th standard. In social science, we insist to write point-wise. In most of the cases, we write point-wise. Yeah, there are few exemptions are there, but generally we prefer point-wise. So first point here, in the older days, when modern currency was not there, was not in vogue, people had to sell and buy each other commodities. They had to buy. So how did they do? Next point. This was called the first point. This was called the barter system. Now next point. For instance, now example, if a shoe manufacturer wants to buy wheat, he has to find farmer who wants to buy his shoes in exchange for wheat. So first coincidence here, a person who wants to buy his goods in shoes. And second, the one who wants to buy in return, who wants to sell wheat, means the first person is that good kind of goods or service he wants to sell in return. That is called double coincidence of wants. So in a barter system where goods are directly exchanged without the use of money, double coincidence of want is an essential feature. So here as you can see that the form of the question, there are actually two questions involved in this one. First, what is barter system, which contains 1 mark, and the second one about the double coincidence of wants. So that explanation contains 2 marks. So here question of 3 marks total. So even if you describe that what is barter system in detail means even if you fill 10 pages, but that question carries maximum 1 mark. And the second question which is included here, which is of double coincidence of wants. So this second question carries 2 marks. So 1 plus 2. Alright. Now next question. What is check? Very easy question of 1 mark. A check is a paper instructing the bank to pay specific amount from the person's account to the person in whose name the check has been issued. Understood? So this is a document instructing bank. That means if I am the account holder, so in that case I instruct the bank on the document that pay some amount from my account to the person on whose name check has been issued. So if I issued the check on your name or X person's name, so in that paper I instruct bank to pay that mentioned amount to that person from my account. Next, what is collateral? We have seen collateral in terms of credit. So collateral is an asset that the borrower owns, such as land, building, vehicle, livestock, deposits with banks, gold, etc. and uses this as guarantee to lender until the loan is repaid. That is collateral. And if borrower fails to repay the loan, in that case, lender has right to sell and collect the money. Next, here there is a statement in quotation. Cheap and affordable credit is crucial feature for the country's development. Discuss the statement and give the explanation. So remaining can be anything. So we need to prove this statement, right? This is correct, right? Without doubt. So let's correct it. Let's prove it that why cheap and affordable credit is crucial, is required for the development of the nation. So let's go. Here, the first one. Cheap and affordable credit is crucial for country's development. The various types of loans or credit can be grouped as formal sector and informal sector loans. First point. Second point, among the former are loans from banks and cooperatives. Informal lenders include money lenders, traders, employers, relatives, and friends. Description about formal sector and informal sector. Next, banks and cooperatives give loans on lesser interest rate than the informal sector. But banks loan require proper documents and collateral. Absence of collateral is one of the major reasons why bank loans are not available to small farmers and people who wish to start small business. Lack of collateral. and sometimes we include irregular income. So, compared to the formal lenders, most of the informal lenders charge a much higher interest on loan. Thus, the cost to the borrowers of informal loans is much higher. We have seen the examples before, right? Like a farmer or taken loan from the bank, easier to get loan as well as lesser interest rate, easy terms of credit. But in the case of informal sector, that higher rates of interest as well as harsh terms of credit, like farmer has to sell goods to the particular trader only, such kind of terms, difficult terms. Next, continue. Higher cost of borrowing means a large part of earnings of borrowers is used to repay the loan. That is difficult. Next, for these reasons, banks and cooperative societies need to lend more to the poorer section of the people. Because we have seen, right, that most of the people, poor people in rural area as well as in the urban area, they take loan from the informal sector. Reason, they are not able to get loan from the banks and cooperatives, that means from the formal sector. So, this would lead to higher income and many people could then borrow cheaply for varieties of needs. They could grow crops, do business, set up small scale industries, etc. So they can fulfill their needs as well as they can utilize loan amount for the earning purpose, for the economic activities. They could set up new industries or trade in goods. So of course these industries, those economic activities will definitely increase contribution of those people. More, at present, it is richer households who receive credit from formal sector, whereas the poor have to depend on informal sector. It is essential that the total formal sector credit increases, so the dependence on the more expensive informal credit becomes less. Also, the poor should get much greater share of formal loans from the banks, cooperative societies, and other financial organizations, registered financial organizations. Both these steps are important for development. So, hence we can prove this that cheap and affordable credit is crucial for the development of the country. Next year, how do banks play an important role in the economy of India? Explain. Here, role of banks. So let's elaborate it, let's explain it. First, banks help people to save their money and keep their money in safe custody. Essential, right? Because crime, robbery, and other things, risks are, we know. So in that case, banks provide us a safe platform where we can deposit, where we can save our money safer. To ensure safety of their money, people deposit their money with banks. Banks accept deposit and pay interest on deposit. People have the provision to withdraw their money as and when they require. That is why we call it demand deposits, because banks have to pay upon demand of the consumer. Next, banks also grant loans to people for a variety of purposes. In times of need, individuals, business, houses, and industries can borrow money from banks. So, banks provide for various needs of people, no matter for business or for their personal reasons. Next, credit provided by banks is crucial for the country's growth and economic development. Credit is needed for all kinds of economic activities. Set up business, buy cars, houses, etc. Next, banks also help people in obtaining cheap and affordable credit. Banks also help people in obtaining cheap and affordable credit. This can help people to grow crops, do business, set up small scale industries, right? Or trade in goods also help. They should do so. The relatively poor people do not have depend on informal sources of credit. So here we can see that the importance of banks in countries like India. One more question is that related to banks. Deposits with banks are beneficial to the depositors. 3-mark question. One more question. Deposits with banks beneficial for the nation. It can be a 3-mark question. Now, one statement is there here. Deposits with the banks are beneficial to the depositors as well as to the nation. Examine the statement. So here we have to elaborate that how deposits with the banks important for the beneficial for the depositors as well as for the whole nation. So division here we can count 3 plus 2 if 5-mark question. And if 3 marks each, first question 3 marks, second question 3 marks, if different. So in the case of statement, 3 plus 2, total 5 marks. So let's see. First, bank accept the deposits and pay interest to the depositors. Beneficial. Second, banks help people save their money and keep their money in safe custody of the bank. Notice, safe custody with the bank. If we deposit our money in trustworthy bank we deposit, then we don't need to worry, right? Because we know our money is safe with banks. Next, people can withdraw the money as and when they require. Next, banks also grant loan to the people for variety of purposes in times of need, like individuals, business houses, industries. They can borrow money from the banks. Those are benefits to the depositors. Next, now in context of nation, so banks use the major proportion of the deposits to extend loans. Second, there is huge demand for loans for various economic activities. In times of need, business houses and industries can borrow money from banks. Next, the third one, banks mediate between those who have surplus depositors and those who are in need of these funds borrowed. It helps in the economic development of the nation. Apart from this, we can write few additional points with our view, right? So there are a few more questions which I'll discuss tomorrow, right? So keep watching and note down these questions and answers. And of course, our major purpose, that is study. Writing is also part of study, but my aim, that is understanding, right?